is going on? Ladies and gentlemen, I am BDLM coming with my buddy Stix and Maut, bringing you episode number 39 of our Dota On Demand podcast. Welcome to the show, Maut. How you doing?
I'm doing extremely well. I was wondering when I was going to get on here and do this with you guys, and I'm extremely excited to be here. I love talking Dota with anybody, so this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. I'm just going to ignore Jake completely. How's it going, buddy?
I have a feeling. Anyways, I'm doing good. I'm also glad to have Maut on here as well. Should be a good time. We've done some casting together for various events and things, and they've always gone pretty well. So I'm like, what the hell? Why not? Let's just throw them in the mix and see what comes of it, right? So how are you? Well, don't ask that question because I think we'll find out by the end of this. And if people start tuning out, we'll know exactly why. I'll just put it that way.
I do have to say for the people tuning in, and the people who have tuned in every week and have listened to our podcast, thank you very much because I would like to point out, me and Jay actually quit this week, we gave up, we're like, nah, screw it. And then we started doing it again, and in part because I was just noticed all the people are like, no, you guys should keep it up, it's good work, and it means a lot to us with all the support that you guys give us, and we really appreciate it. So, it looks like we'll make it to 40, cross the fingers, right? But tonight, episode number 39, we're going to be talking about Visage and the Nyx Assassin, like we were supposed to last week with those patch notes.
Hold on a second. People are saying they can't hear. Can you hear people? Can you hear either Maut or BDLM? I can hear both of them perfectly, but we need to make sure you guys can hear them because that is very important. I think. Any contributions from the chat now would be wonderful. Okay, is it just BDLM? That's what it sounds like. That's weird because Maut, you can hear him, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's keep going for just a bit, and I'll try to get some feedback from the chat in the meantime. So, you want to start us on our, what is going on? Let me figure this out. This is flawless, guys. This is...
I wish I knew how to, sign,
Yeah, how do you do some sign language right now? I'm trying to figure this out for all of you. What is that? Is that like a bunny hopping?
Did that do something? Now I hear myself, but...
You hear yourself? Oh, I think I might have figured it out.
I don't know what's going on.
Alright, viewers.
Sit and look pretty.
Tell me if you hear them now. Oh, forever hold your peace.
Do I have to start singing? I think that'd be
Okay,
great.
good. I had to change to stupid virtual audio cable stuff. Don't worry. I'm glad we figured it out at the beginning and not the end. So go ahead, dude.
Alright, so, man, my intro, you guys missed it. Oh, well.
You did.
Anyway, I guess really long story short, thank you guys very much for your support over the past ever. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much for just the likes, the upvotes on Reddit when you guys have done that. Just for tuning in, downloading the podcast, thank you all very much. But this episode is going to be about Nyx Assassin and Visage like it was supposed to be last week. We had those awesome patch notes, so we had to go over those for the Dota 1 client. So yeah, let's just jump into that, if that's good. With you guys, Nyx Assassin. Do you want to go ahead and run through those abilities, Jay?
Yeah, really quick. I guess it won't hurt. So people get just a basic brief introduction. He's got his 4 abilities. This would be Impale, which basically is just a line stun, similar to Lion as you point out in the text here. So obviously very easy to compare there. He's got Mana Burn. Now, I was trying to find a clip before this started. I might even just post it on our Facebook page, because it's okay to laugh at yourself. You have to every now and then. I made a very big mistake with this ability when I did a cast with Maut here. And what I said, well, let me tell you the correct way first. The correct version of this spell is he burns the hero's mana equal to a multiplier of their intelligence. It's 4. So 4 times the enemy's int is how much mana you will burn. What I said in the cast was it was 4 times of his int. And that does not make a whole lot of sense, since he's an agility hero, which I guess I should point out as well. So he wouldn't want to build int items as much as other heroes. So anyways, yeah, it becomes a lot better when you see it in the real context. But regardless, let's keep going. Spiked Carapace. Basically, he activates this. It reflects the next damage, the next, I guess, damaging instance that comes his way, and it also stuns that hero for a duration. And then Vendetta, of course, is ultimately what makes him such a great assassin, if you will. He'll go invisible, gain movement speed, and come out. His next auto attack does a whole bunch of extra damage, and actually that's about it. So there you go. There's his 4 abilities.
So, Maut, I mean, obviously you got to cast that one game. I believe it showed up in Complexity versus VTI Game 2. I mean, what do you think about this hero so far and him entering the game?
I think he certainly has his place in competitive play. You know, you saw the game, you know, VTI versus Complexity. VTI picked him up there, and I think he could be useful. And I think a lot of people will try to, you know, pick him up occasionally, you know, especially at the International with different sort of, you know, meta kind of games coming on. One thing I like about this hero is the fact that, like, you know, he is such a good assassin just because the Ultimate Vendetta allows him to initiate so well. But at the same time, he's easily countered if you pick him right off the bat, which I really don't think anybody would. But you pick up a Slardar or a Bounty Hunter, and he's already countered right then and there. On top of that, he relies pretty much solely on, you know, if you can get an early Dagon, it really helps ganking. But at the same time, it's still like, it's just not, you can get good early ganks, but I feel like he probably might not scale as well as some other ganking heroes later on in the game. But I like playing him. He's certainly easy to play. He's one of the easiest pub heroes to play, I think, in the game. So there's always that.
Yeah, you know, it was funny, too. I thought it was awesome that he showed up in that series because when this hero came out, before I'd seen the VTI versus Complexity game, I'm like, this is kind of funny because I actually saw Complexity run a lineup that was 5 Intellect heroes, and they won the game they were in. But so it's not like it's going to be all that hard to try and put Nyx Assassin to use. There sure are plenty of lineups that put a couple squishy heroes together and give him some heroes to feed off of.
I need to just say, I know you love being animated when you're talking, but stop moving your head so much. Your mic is going to explode of staticism, if that's a word.
Sounds like a grenade.
Yeah.
Staticism.
Just keep your frozen stone-like face expression. Don't be excited. Just be really upset and depressed this whole cast. Okay? Can you do that? Thanks.
A little stone face.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, like you were saying, we casted it was Complexity versus VTI for the ECAL tournament that went on just previously. You can check it out actually on the Dota tournaments tab. If it's still there, you can purchase it if you want to watch those replays. But anyways, yeah, Nyx Assassin was actually picked up by VTI, and it was in a really interesting lineup. I actually wrote it down, a little preparation, just a little bit for this cast. It was picked up with Earthshaker, Broodmother, Leshrac, and Crystal Maiden, and then of course the Nyx. That was the 5. And so that was their lineup they decided to go with, and of course they ran that Nyx mid, like we were saying earlier. Now, the interesting thing with this lineup and why Nyx was picked with it is that you look at that and you're like, Broodmother, Leshrac, awesome pushers, Earthshaker, CM, some good team fight kind of AoE synergy, and then gank hero. Why is that in here? Now, why do you think they decided to run with that as opposed to another kind of type of hero instead?
Well, I mean, I think something that's interesting to point out, too, is another game where I actually got to see Nyx Assassin picked up, and it's actually on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/OdaOnDemand. I did a cast of a best of 3 between Port and IA for the Reddit Team League, and he was picked up, and he had SK Rubik and Leshrac on the team as well. And when you are able to put so many other crowd controls with him, he becomes a really effective hero, and that's something else, too, looking at that lineup. Crystal Maiden, Leshrac, Shaker, a lot of stuff to help line up the Impale stun. And also, that's going to give him the opportunity to get out once he breaks his invisibility with that Vendetta.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. I mean, you see so often is a lot of teams like to coordinate their picks with heroes that can, you know, synergize extremely well with each other. You often see a Burrow Strike with Split Earth combined up. If you add on top of that somebody like a ganker hero like the Nyx Assassin, it's just stun after stun after stun. Like you said, so much crowd control, so much CC ability to just make sure that you can get a team fight. You can initiate the way you want to initiate with the invisibility. You can get that stun off the way you want to get that stun off, followed up by other stuns, and so it makes it a little bit more difficult, especially with the Earthshaker Fisher. It's very frustrating to play against those types of heroes, especially somebody who can, you know, gank as efficiently as Nyx Assassin can. So I think that's really one of the reasons why it was such a good pickup.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't mean to spoil that match in particular, but I just have to say the reason I would just, I love the early and mid game. It was just like you predict, like, he goes in there, he hits level 6, he starts just killing people left and right. I mean, there's so little you can really do against that huge burst and stun he can do right away. But later in the game, he bought a Dagon. We'll get into item builds later, but he went like this burst build, and then they had the pushers, and they got to the point where they're pushing their base towers and barracks. They actually killed off, I believe, 2 lades, or 1.5 at least, but they were trying to finish them off. And because that Nyx had a Dagon, and was obviously he's not a pushing hero by any means. He's a pure ganker pretty much. They couldn't finish them off, and eventually Complexity came back, turned it around, and won it because they were able to hold them off after time. And then they eventually it got to the point where their heroes were too strong and they couldn't finish them off anymore. So I don't know. I guess at that point then you want to go for more of a early to mid game win, because obviously especially if you build a Dagon, you're not going for any kind of late game potential.
Yeah, I think the other important thing when you're talking about like how Nyx works in the later parts of the game, he's an agility hero, and I think you can certainly look to go for even agility type items if you wanted to. But I think the big part that really limits your build is mana burn in particular, and you look at how that ability scales as you level it up. The intelligence multiplier always stays 4, but the cooldown goes from 28 seconds to 4 seconds, and the mana cost goes from 90 to 150. So it's like you can't go conventional carry items and look to take advantage of what that hero does. Like if you're picking a Nyx, it's because you want the disable, you want the mana burn. But if you want to be using that mana burn a lot and effectively during team fights, you have to be building items like Dagon, like Sheepstick even, to give yourself a mana pool that will allow you to continuously cast mana burn throughout the fight.
I have a quick little thing, by the way. Any viewers who are tuning in, I appreciate you guys doing it. If you have any questions or anything you want us to bring up about these heroes as we discuss them, throw it in the chat. I'm definitely watching it and monitoring it, so just let us know. And anyways, just had to shout it out there. Go ahead, Maut. I know you had something to say before I cut you off.
Well, I think going back to what we were saying about how he just doesn't scale well, and that's absolutely true. I mean, it's just very... You talk about pushing, and that's really where his game lacks, obviously. He's a ganker hero. He's not somebody that's meant to push, but at the same time, having to build towards things like the Dagon, which we were saying a lot, makes... it's very difficult to push up. You can early on in the mid-game, which is where he flourishes... He absolutely can gank, get kills galore. But if you can't finish the game, before the mid to late game, you're in some trouble, because at that point in time, he stops scaling. His items are, not really. It's not effective to have him later on in the game. Whereas you could pick other heroes. And another thing, he was middle, so you have other mid heroes who are, carries. I mean, Jo was on the opposite side of the team, and he was on an Invoker, and that's just such a strong late, It's 10 times stronger late game potential than an Nyx Assassin is. He can't do anything. It's so difficult, and that's why Complexity was able to come back. I think one of the reasons, anyways, because they just, like you said, they couldn't finish off the game, and I think he was more of a albatross rather than sort of a helping hand in the later stages of the game. So yeah. It's something to keep in mind.
I mean, like Invoker, like you're saying, late game, he's got a huge arsenal of spells. All the team fight things he can throw into the mix. Whereas Invoker, you know what he's going to do. He's going to ulti in, attack once, impale, mana burn, and then probably spike carry pace as he runs away. I mean, like, he doesn't do a lot after that, whereas Invoker, of course, like you're saying, throws out his EMP and then his Tornado, and then he'll... blah, 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 blah. I ran off his other abilities because he's got about 20. But, I mean, like, and then the other big thing about him, late game, guess what counters him incredibly hard? Oh, right, a BKB. You get a BKB, and, okay, you also, I guess, have to have a little bit of map awareness. Or presence of mind, because as soon as he comes out, if you pop that BKB, he can't dag on you, he can't impale you, he can't mana burn you. All he can do is keep auto-attacking you. And obviously, the way most people seem to build him, his auto-attacks are not life or death situational kind of things. So,
yeah, I think like the only agility item that I could see really even considering on him would be something like an E-Blade to just add to that burst damage that he does. But I think it's interesting to note, too, that in both these series we've talked about the Port versus IA and then the Complexity versus VTI. Invoker was actually picked early on in both of the drafts. So Nyx being run mid against that hero multiple times did a little bit better in the Complexity game than he did against a Quaswex Invoker, like you guys may or may not see in that Port versus IA game. But yeah. I think to really give him a sort of push potential, and the one thing that I really do like about his situational items is the Necronomicon, and I think that's something you would definitely have to get if you were getting towards the late game. Instead of maxing out the Dagon 5, you realize there's a point, okay, I need to do more than just be that upfront damage. Let's get Necrobook, let's get Drums of Endurance, something else to help bolster the team in a push.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the situational items, and you can build some of these other items, but like you said, if you want any sort of pushing potential, Necrobook is probably the way to go. Drums of Endurance is nice to have as well. That extra movement speed would definitely be helpful. But I mean, you're not gonna, in all honesty, if you're playing a game, especially at the higher level, higher tier competitive types of play that we've been seeing, you're really not going to build towards. First of all, Set the Vise on a Nyx Assassin. You're really not going to see that. Secondly, a Heart of Trask, probably also not going to see that as well. I mean, unless you're having your Nyx Assassin be your tank, which I don't see that happening.
Heart of Trask on Nyx. Yeah, what are you
It's
doing?
like, why? I don't understand. Like, you're going to throw all that money away just to survive when you have Vendetta, which is really useful to get away, by the way.
The awesome thing is the Ethereal Blade in situational. Holy moly.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious and awesome at the same time.
Shotgun.
Shotgun
Nyx
Nyx.
Assassin.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you really wanted to try and add your damage all around, it's like, okay, this is going to add to the sort of the shotgun name that it gets, especially with the Morphling. It'll give you that extra burst damage, but then you're also going to get a little bit of extra auto attack damage, some extra armor, some extra in those departments. But
yeah, I mean, definitely. But like, think about it like this way also. Yeah, I mean, we probably already mentioned it, but when you use it, of course, you do that instant damage. Now, he doesn't have a ton of agility, so it's not going to do a huge amount, but you made them ethereal. Yeah, they're taking extra magic damage for that next 2 or 3 seconds, meaning that's when you pop your Dagon. That's when you pop your Impale. And they're going to do extra damage, especially the Dagon, which at this point... Now, of course, this is an insanely expensive build we're talking about here, because a leveled-up Dagon plus an Ethereal Blade is a pretty fat Nyx Assassin, because creep scores of Nyx Assassins late game are usually a third of hard carries, at the most, just because you're focusing on kills, not farm.
Exactly. He's not the best creep-killing, hero. What is he going to do? Is he going to impale the creep wave? Like, he doesn't have that much CS ability. I mean, he could, I guess, theoretically. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it would be as effective as, a Morphling waveforming to get a creep wave. I mean, he's not that sort of... He doesn't need to get the CS. And that being said, you like you said, a leveled-up Dagon plus an Ethereal Blade, that seems like a lot of money, especially if you're going to be like that support ganker type hero, and especially in the higher competitive level, you're going to be getting wards, you're going to be getting dusts occasionally, you're not going to be getting everything like this, but you're still going to be supporting the team with different team items and things of that nature. At least I would be, but you're not ever going to build a Heart of Trask. Let's be realistic. Unless you're in a pub game and you're absolutely stomping the other team, you're like, all right, now I can build a Heart of Trask. That's just not going to happen, I don't think. You're never going to see it in the competitive game.
yeah, I mean, especially, like, obviously this is still in the works, and it was something that we talked about last week. In the current build, or the most recent build that we can see of the next Dota map, the Spike Carapace gets changed so that it can actually block more abilities, so that'll actually give him some of that tankiness. They sort of lacks. Like, yeah, he has the immunity from the one spell, but after that, he's very easy to take down, so hopefully if that change does actually go into place, it'll be a little bit tankier, and you won't even have to consider something like Heart. But yeah, I mean, you definitely want to go for that burstier type build. Yeah. But what do you guys think about skill builds? Sorry to cut you off, Jay. I don't know if you had anything else.
I just wanted to throw in, because you mentioned the beta leaks. That's what we were doing last week's episode on. And like you said, one of them changed was that Spike Carapace change, which would be awesome. But and Who987 in the chat was also kind of bringing this up. He thought these might actually go through if it does go through, and I definitely think so. But the other thing that was changed that was affecting him directly was the Dagon change. The item itself was going to get a 9-second reduction on its cooldown at the last rank. And maybe a mana cost change, I'm not sure. The damage is going to stay the same, I know that, but still a 9-second decrease, making it 15-second cooldown at last rank is pretty tremendous for a hero that uses it. It's kind of like if they did something to E-Blade, they'd be like, oh, Morphling got buffed. It's like the same kind of mirror image here,
Right. Yeah, I mean, Dagon is... It goes hand in hand. Like, Dagon and Nyx Assassin are like peanut butter and chocolate, honestly.
I just said Morphling and E-Blade. You couldn't just use that?
I could have said that, but that would be too easy. So
yeah. Oh, excuse me.
And who doesn't love sandwich references? I mean, you gotta throw in sandwich references whenever you can.
That's true. I mean, peanut butter is delicious.
Oh, okay, so you did. See, I was thinking peanut butter and jelly. You did say
no, it works the same. I understand what you're saying, though. So
Yeah. Sorry, so what do you guys think about skill builds? Because that was something I actually noted. I guess I'll wait for you guys to give your response before I say what I was seeing. But in the complexity game versus VTI and the port versus I, there were 2 different builds that came out from the Nyx Assassin that both seem pretty interesting. But what do you guys think?
Maut, go first, as the guest.
I don't remember what they went in complexity versus VTI.
In complexity versus VTI, Impale was max first, and then Mana Burn was, yes. Okay. With 1 point in Spike Carapace.
Okay. I feel like that's a pretty standard build. I feel like you really don't need to get Spike Carapace until later, because I think if there's anything that scales well with a Nyx Assassin, it's probably the Spike Carapace, just because it's 100% reduced damage, which is nice. It's got a nice, efficient mana cost. The duration stays the same. The mana cost stays the same the entire time. And this stun duration eventually scales up to 2.4 seconds, which is really nice. On top of that, it's got the duration is 4.5, so it's, it stays the same. But I think that Spike Carapace is good later on. Early on, not so much. I'd rather have the Impale on the Mana Burn. I just think it does a lot of damage, and it's pretty standard, I think, to see that.
I was about to accidentally hang up on you there, Maut. I was
Oh,
that
God.
close, because I thought you were going to say prioritize Spike Carapace, and I'm like, this dude literally knows less than our friend Terps, and that's just like, I don't know how we managed that, but I was like, oh god.
It's probably possible. I'm not saying
it's the
something
worst
like out
thing,
there.
but it's pretty much the worst thing, okay? But, alright,
Okay.
well...
It's almost like saying that Mana Burn works on your own intellect.
Okay.
It'd be terrible.
Okay. Let's not go there. Sorry that I have actually casted... Oh, no, you have to. Well, screw it.
Yep. Anyway,
So
actually...
that it just blew up in your face, Jay. Take that.
Yeah. But in the Port versus IA game, I thought it was really interesting that Impale got max, and then Spike Carapace got max with 1 point in the Mana Burn, which I kind of also can see because, like I mentioned earlier, it's like, okay, you get the cooldown reduction, and then it gets more expensive. So if you can't support it, maybe you should go for the more defensive item. I don't know. What do you think, Jay?
Well, you're talking about items now?
No, more defensive build, pardon me.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? I hate to say this so much, but I every time I'll say it again, it's situational for the game for the most part for me on any hero more or less. I mean, some heroes you'll do the same build no matter what, but for him, I definitely think it's situational. Between Impale and Mana Burn being prioritized now. Like we kind of been saying before, Mana Burn getting leveled up, that's just such a huge cooldown reduction. It's just amazing. Going from 28 to 4 seconds is just tremendous. So if you can get that to last rank really quick, and by the way, as you're leveling it up, your enemy's intelligence is also scaling up throughout the game. So it's doing more damage, even without you putting points in it, but the fact that you get to cast it, 7 times faster than you would at rank...
Don't do math.
That was the closest to math I'm going to do. Then, the point is, for every 1 cast you have done rank 1, you do 7 casts at rank 4. Boom. There's your math and a half.
Well,
but I know I almost lost you there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think I would normally, especially if you're solo mid against an int hero, I would love to prioritize Mana Burn first, just because you'll also help win your lane by draining his mana more frequently. And then if you go a bottle, which a lot of mid Nyx Assassins will do, you can then, if you can keep rune control on top of that, he's screwed. He will not be able to harass you. He'll only be able to do auto attacks, and that's not going to do a whole lot. And then again, if you go Impale, I would prioritize Impale otherwise against heroes, or in like a side lane if you're there for whatever reason. I don't know why you're there, but if you are, I would go for that, because obviously it's more of a team fight move. It's AoE. But yeah, I think for the most part I prefer Mana Burn.
Yeah, that's probably the thing that we can all agree on, is that you probably want to see the Mana Burn at least scaled up first. It's probably the best thing that he's got, and scales close to the best there. I mean, it's such a good ability.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would probably... I mean, I don't know if I would always put Mana Burn first. I mean, I think because you get stun duration on the Impale, the Mana Burn, you're just... And especially in the laning phase, you're just making it more expensive for yourself. So, I don't know. I think, me personally, I'd probably put more points into Impale than I would in Mana Burn. But I do think if you did get, like, your level 1 point into Mana Burn, that'd be super effective, especially against, like we saw in the Complexity game, Exort Invokers, who are going to have a large mana pool, going to get a lot of extra intellects, and then they're also going to be sun-striking other lanes, so you're limiting their presence on the map even by applying that Mana Burn.
Yeah, I was also going to say, and the chat's pointed out now, two at least funny instances where Spike Carapace is awesome against a Kodal for his supercharged wave, and then against Huskar. I think those would both be pretty hilarious. Huskar, does he then just pretty much kill himself? Because he does his initial damage, right, to himself, and then you reflect the other half. He's down to, what, like 8 to 10% at that point?
You have to do science.
And you're just like, oh, Impale. Okay.
You have to do
Game over.
It's pretty good. Of course, the Lina, the Lion ultis, those would be hilarious. Just to be able to block those, but...
It's like a blade mail, but not a blade mail, so...
Yeah.
Blade mail, but it's nice to have.
So I guess we kind of covered everything except for I guess items. I mean, something that we've seen and I think are pretty much going to be standard are the bottle and arcane boots. Agree?
Yeah.
Agree?
Oh yeah, I was
yeah.
also going to say null talisman early because for the most part, 95% of the time you're going to want to build a Dagon as your first big item or semi-big item just because of the extra burst damage it adds to get kills. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So obviously getting that early is both cheap and easy, and it's also a component. It's going to give you that mana early on to keep using Impale and Mana Burn, these kind of things. Pretty useful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And just those general stats too when you talk about just being a squishy hero, like just being able to pick up some extras would be nice.
Yeah.
I mean, Dagon, you're gonna, like you said, you're gonna see that a good chunk of the time on Nyx Assassin heroes. I don't see how that's not useful. I mean, he's purely a ganker. He needs to kill people. Dagon is good at killing people. Therefore, get Dagon, acquire
I
Dagon.
so want to go E-Blade now on him. I just so want to try. I don't know how I'm going to get that much money, but I just want that. Oh, I want that in a Dagon and just see how much I can do. And then, I don't know, have a teammate go
Veil of Discord.
Veil Discord. And then just Ancient Apparition on your team, throw him in there. I don't know, just go for like the super awesomest nuke ever.
Get a Zeus with a veil.
There you go. Yeah.
That's a lot
What
of
could
damage.
go wrong?
That's a lot of
Zeus
damage.
Yeah.
A Zeus and Nyx Assassin on the same team. It's fine. It's fine. It's the best team ever.
Team Burst. That's right.
Team Burst.
It's like against Team Robert. But,
Oh God, no! They have magic immunity. What do we do? This is going to go horribly.
Oh, we did not just bring Twilight in. Okay.
Did you make a Twilight reference?
He did. He did.
Unfortunately, I don't know
trying
why.
We're
I'm
gonna
sorry.
just sweep that under the rug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
let's-
Move past.
Moving on, I think we pretty much exhausted the Nyx Assassin there. Like we said, you guys can check out both the Complexity versus VTI games. Check that on Jay's, I believe your channel has that, right?
It says yes.
And then, which there's a link at the bottom of our Twitch. And then, actually, on our YouTube, you can check out the Fort vs. IA games if you want to see Nyx in action. But let's talk about our buddy Visage. I believe Ham Sandwich, quoting him, said he is God of the Tri-Lane. So yeah, let's get talking about this guy. I don't have my little notes in front of me, unfortunately, the nice slides you have, but I'll see what I can do. Grave Chill, movement and attack speed slow. The duration goes up as you level that ability up. Soul Assumption will give you charge based on the damage that heroes are taking around him. Each one of those charges will increase the damage of a projectile he gets to shoot for damage. Gravekeeper's Cloak gives layered magic resistance and armor with some recovery time. Those will come back. And then the Summoned Familiars will actually summon up 2 blind familiars. They have the ability to go into a stone form that will cause them to drop to the ground, regen health, regen stacks of damage and armor, and they will also stun an area around them. Boom.
Those are all 4 correct.
Yes!
You passed the test of Visage.
You get
Does I
Revan.
get cookie?
Yes.
Can I has?
Oh, I want that one.
You can't has, though.
Wait. Then why does it? Where does it go?
Just let it go. Just let the
Okay.
dream go. Okay. The cookie crumbles, kid.
Oh,
That's
his
the way it
thing.
crumbles.
That's a
Dang
zinger
it.
right
That was
there.
almost a zinger. I messed it up, but that's okay.
That was good. It was okay.
Yeah, so I don't know, Maut. Do you think there's a good reason I like to, whenever I see fluff and stuff in my head, I just imagine the picture of this hero?
The Visage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good reason. I mean, he's played it a bunch of times now, and he is a good hero. I personally hate the heck out of everything Visage. I just every time I see this hero, I just think, ugh, gross. I hate this. It's disgusting. It's just partly because it's just playing him. You have to. There's a little bit of multitasking / microing involved if you want to get the StarCraft heavy terms out, microing, if you will, which. In Dota, a lot of people are kind of iffy about microing. Whoa, I have to control their units inside my own. This is kind of weird. Let me back off a second. But taking a second look at Visage, I realized that he's a very good support ganker. He can deal a bit of right-click damage as well, especially early on and into the mid-game. But I feel like as a support hero, there's other heroes or utility hero for that matter, there's other heroes that work better in his situation than he actually does. So, I mean, I like the stone form, but I feel that's just my spiel on Visage and why, I don't know, just microwing Dota, not my thing.
Oh, for you personally.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Okay.
it's for good players like Fluff and stuff, for example, I'm sure he loves it. But for somebody like me who is a noob and can only cast,
We're
I'm not a
casting
fan.
with 2 of them, bud. Don't worry about it. This is
Yeah.
In fact, the sooner BDLM learns to play this hero, the more often we're going to win games. So as friends. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like I think I definitely agree with you. The guy of the tri-lane just perfectly describes him just because of that soul assumption. It is ridiculously awesome. I mean, the amount of damage it can put out with all the spells that get, all the damage that gets dealt between heroes in the lane is just, it stacks up quicker than you would think. And I mean, like, when I was first trying him out and I was in like a duo lane against bots, I was like, I'm getting like nothing here. I'm like, nothing's happening. I'm not getting any charges. I'm doing like no damage. This sucks. And then like I watch a competitive game with Visage picked up, and I'm like, he is like maxed out on charges 24/7. What is happening? Like, people are not afraid to go all out on each other, and if you don't focus fire him early, he is going to pump out very frequent 4-second cooldown bursts of damage. So yeah, pretty scary there.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing to point out, I think. That soul assumption on such a short cooldown. He's really, I think, unique for support heroes because he just can do a ton of damage and actually has a bit of durability with that Gravekeeper's Cloak. The resistance per layer, 16%, and if you have 4 layers, I mean, obviously that's a ton of damage reduction. You'll actually survive in team fights. Crazy, I know.
Support
But-
survive?
Yeah, believe it or not, it can happen.
Huh.
But yeah,
That's-
it's really interesting to
That's
see
a
him
good
in play.
point. The Graveskeeper's Chill, if you see it and he's got it maxed out and you have that resistance per layer up there, I mean, that's a lot of resistance. You get a Laguna Blade or a Finger of Death casted on you, it's really nothing in comparison to what it could be on other heroes, and I just think that's so crucial to have. I mean, and that's how you survive, I guess, as the support. And I mean, you just have to have that ability, and it's certainly interesting. The Gravekeeper's Cloak, the mechanic itself.
Totally just said Gravekeeper's Chill at the
Did
beginning
I?
of that. I was
Wow.
I was confused. I didn't know what direction you were taking.
couldn't just let it go?
They both, of course not. How could I let that go? No one's gonna let it go about me with Nyx Assassin. I have to
All right,
have
fair.
something to draw
Fair
on
enough.
here.
All right, fair enough.
But no, you're right. It is cool. But then, actually, I guess we'll go into leveling these abilities now. Why not? Easy transition. But, as good as that ability is, when you're looking at his other abilities and leveling them up, are you going to get it early enough that's going to make a difference in the fights? I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, obviously, well, I'm not going to say obviously. A lot of the times, especially in a tri-lane, you'll see Soul Assumption picked up either level 1 or 2. Grave Chill might be level 1 over that just because you want to get that slow off the bat to help set up a gank. But then again, if there's a lot of crazy damage at level 1, or like a forest fight or something you see break out occasionally when they're running around the jungle just scouting it out, I mean, sometimes it's better to have that too. But I think you obviously pick up both of those in the first couple levels. And then from there now, do you prioritize... Well, what do you prioritize, I guess?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, like you said, it depends. I mean, I'm just going to say we're going to assume that Visage is going to be put in a tri-lane, especially if we're just going to talk about him in the competitive scene, where you would absolutely, I would say, max Soul Assumption. I think typically you'll see 1 point in the Grave Chill and 1 point in the Gravekeeper's Cloak. But the thing about Gravekeeper's Cloak, too, is it's multiplicative. All this math coming out in this episode, apparently.
So
Crunching numbers
confused right
here. Yeah.
I need the calculator.
Yeah. So right, with rank 1, with 4 layers on, you have 4 armor and 3% magic resist. You put 1 more point into that, you get an additional 4 armor, and then an additional 12% magic resist at full stacks of layers. So it scales tremendously, and then the recovery time on your layers comes back quicker too.
That's true.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I like what you said about putting the 1 point into the Grave Chill and then going for Gravekeeper's Cloak. That's exactly what I would do if I was building a Visage, even in a tri-lane. I'd put one and one in respectively in Soul Assumption and Grave Chill, and then I'd max out Soul Assumption first with Gravekeeper's Cloak probably following close behind. It really depends. I mean, you look at the ability itself. The only thing that changes as you level it up is the duration of the slow, which sounds like a lot. It's a second, it's a second change in the duration. But if you have somebody like a Venomancer with you, you really already have a slow as long as you can land the Venomous Scale in the first place. So all you're really getting out of it is also it increases by mana. The mana cost increase is what I meant to say. So you're really only getting 1 extra second of slow, whereas, like you said, with the Gravekeeper's Cloak, it's multiplicative, and it's just such a huge jump and just effectiveness and just letting you survive, which is going to be huge, especially later on in the game as you get to those team fights. As 5-man Dota starts being played.
Well, you talk about multiplicative. I mean, you're saying it's only 1 second that goes up, but that's 1 second of him having 32% less movement attack speed, and 1 more second of you having extra movement attack speed. It's kind of like the Bane Elemental argument, how you say when he uses his Brain Sap, it not only is doing damage, but it's also healing you. So it's actually doing a bigger swing than you're thinking of when you're just looking at it from like a 2D perspective.
That's true, but I would say too, okay, you getting movement speed might be helpful, but attack speed isn't really going to do anything for you.
Carry Visage.
Exactly.
It could work if you're Tron. From IG, I heard he's played it as a carry back in like Dota 1, but
okay,
that's pretty awesome. But I mean, like the point I think of having this hero, aside from the ultimate, like just looking at his basic abilities, is to be able to use that as Soul Assumption on that 4-second cooldown, be able to get that off as often as possible. So, I mean, me personally, I would just leave the 1 point in the Grave Chill, and I'd be putting points in this Gravekeeper's Cloak, just so you can get out as many hits with that Soul Assumption as possible.
I agree.
Perhaps.
I agree.
All right, let's jump into item builds now, since we're kind of talking about them.
Should we
shall we what?
Should we discuss the ultimate?
Do we have
Are we
to?
gonna-
Is that really
I mean,
an
it's-
important part of this hero? I honestly didn't. Not for us micro people. We just summon them, set them in the jungle,
I just let them
kill
go.
some
I don't even
creeps.
use their ability. I'm just like, what? Zone form? I don't know what that is. I just use them to auto attack.
Well, that's why yours do 0 damage in the fights. So, I guess we should just briefly get into that. So obviously he summons 2 of these little guys. They have decent amount of health, starting at 300. They can't take a huge punch. And actually, someone pointed out on a thread, they said that a maxed out Tinker Laser can one-shot the first rank of these guys because it's pure damage. So, just an interesting little tidbit. There you go. Some knowledge if you play Tinker against Visage. Have fun. Anyways.
They're squishy early on. These familiars,
Well,
they
that's what
just
I'm saying. 300 health, 0 armor, 160 attack range. Pretty much you have to be almost on top of these people. So not super great, but what's cool about them also is the fact that they start with bonus damage. So they have a base damage. It's not very high. I'm not sure what it is offhand. If someone can jump out and throw it at me. In the meantime, I'll keep going. They get bonus damage, and as they attack, it gets reduced each attack, all the way down to 0 bonus damage. And the only way to get that bonus damage back is to go into their stone form. And when they do, they drop down right on the spot you cast it on them, and it'll stun an AoE around where any heroes, creeps, anything. They get stunned for a duration. It's about a second and a half. And they're invulnerable while they're on the ground. And they gain back all their health that they're missing, as well as that bonus damage. It goes back to the maximum bonus. There you go.
Yes.
Is that good enough explanation?
Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
I liked it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think this is tremendous too for support because I think, okay, Ancient Apparition playing support, we don't see that very often. But Visage is going to be a support here that has global presence because he can fly these familiars around and he's going to be able to put in a little bit extra damage. I think the damage part of it is really kind of negligible, but it's really that you're going to be able to put a 3-second stun on somebody at the last rank with 2 of these familiars if you're able to line them up correctly. That is really what makes that ability fantastic.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the stone form is just so useful. On top of that, they're invulnerable. They regen their health. They regen their bonus damage, which is nice to have back. I mean, it does a lot of damage when you can get all 3, yourself and the 2 familiars helping out. It's so helpful. But at the same time, we talked about how squishy they are. Look at the cooldown at the first level. It's 180 seconds. That is 3 minutes, approximately, if I'm doing my math correctly,
Actually,
which I hope, God, I am.
Yeah.
It's pretty decent.
Okay, so got that right. But, I mean, you have a situation where you have to, like I said before, if you're not really into microwing, which, I mean, a lot of the people who are playing in pub scenes, especially the lower level brackets, aren't going to be as interested in. Or just sort of the barrier of entry to this hero is because a lot of his usefulness as a support comes from these familiars. And if these go down for like the full 3 minutes, you're gone without that ultimate for a good period of time. I mean, you can honestly just use them during a team fight, just pop them up during a team fight, and hope they don't get focused down and and have that work. And that might be easier for people who are sort of newer to microwing in Dota. But I mean, if you can play it like Fluff and stuff can, where he can micro himself as well as the familiars effectively, then this is a really good. These are 2 really good things to have, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, too, that sort of makes it, like you were saying, sort of difficult to want to try and just start out with this hero, too, is the familiar bounty is 100 gold. You get an insane amount of gold for killing these things, which isn't really all that difficult to do. So, it's not only, okay, well, now I lose these sources of damage, I lose some stun ability, I'm also just feeding the enemy team some gold, and that's kind of, something else that makes them sort of a bit of a gamble when playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what you have to worry about. Apparently, they do have 96.25% magic resistance. Good to know. And they are targeted as heroes by abilities, not creeps. So that affects some things. I'm not going to go into it because I don't have a list in front of me. But the other thing also note with that damage, I was saying they regenerate those charges as they're invulnerable. They also regenerate a charge every 15 seconds from when they were summoned. So I guess it just pulses an extra charge up if you've already attacked or something. What was I also going to say about them? Oh, the Ogden Scepter upgrade gets you a third one, which is
more gold to give away.
More gold. That's right. More gold to feed to the enemy team, which is always spectacular.
More stuns if you can micro them, not like me.
Right. Well, that's why we aren't pro, probably. But for those who are,
you don't have to say that. I mean, my self-esteem right now.
I already told you the cookie crumbling. I already went over that bit. I don't have to say it again. Okay.
All right. Fine.
Don't make me say it again.
Stop being so mean, God.
I bring it on here to make you look bad.
Yeah, that was the point.
at least I'm being of use. That's all I want to be. It's just if I can be of use, that's fine.
I don't need to get into your personal life, dude. All right.
Ouch.
Yeah,
that hurts.
Anyways, that was awkward. I don't know why it went that way. So,
fantastic.
Going back to real things. God, now I'm thrown off. Was we gonna say something else?
How about
items? I don't know.
Yeah, how about we talk about some items?
Do that. Let's.
I like the Ring of Basilius. I think mech listed in his core items. I think it certainly is because you can use those, heal the familiars, so maybe get them back into the fight, save them from dying if they're being focused. But I think for the most part, just typical supporty items are going to be fantastic to grab. I really don't see okay, great, you can get the Aghanim Scepter, but 4,200 gold. What tri-lane support is going to be able to accrue that in a game? So I think if you're able to get yourself a mech, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and that's something. If you can get the money to build that somehow, especially if you're in a tri-lane, then I say go for it. But like you said, I mean, if you can get a mech, you're doing pretty well for yourself. I mean, that's going to be difficult to get in its own right in a tri-lane where you're not going to be getting any money or experience for that matter. So, also these items. Why is Heart of Trask always listed now? It's just like Heart of Trask.
Every hero needs a heart.
That's
Have you
true.
heard of The Wizard of Oz?
Yeah, I have. I hate that movie.
Do you know the Tin Man?
I'm just kidding. I don't hate that movie. Yes, I know of the Tin Man. Yes.
Yeah, every hero is the Tin Man.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Just needs
so.
that heart.
Fair enough.
And the other thing too, we're just talking about Visage, he was also picked up in that Complexity versus VTI game too as well. So just that much more of a reason to go check that out. He was in a tri-lane with a Venomancer and a Faceless Void. But
we just have to mention now. We mentioned that game. The Faceless Void in that game. You just have to watch this game anyways.
Just go to it.
The silliest item build you will see a Faceless Void go possibly in your life.
Let's
just say there was a Necronomicon. I said that word properly. I'm so proud
you got it
of
this
myself.
time.
Necronomicon. Hand of Midas, I guess that's pretty regular. And then, what was that other crazy item?
Mjolnir?
You hit a Mjolnir just to push out the base. It was just like, you just never... Okay, it wasn't support Faceless Sokka, but, pretty much. It was close as you'll get to a support. The only thing he could have done more to be more of a support was go like a refresher, and then just double ulti for team fight only.
Double chrono.
You said you saw it, Maut.
I did. In a game between DK and EG for, I think it was BTS, Burning went a refresher orb, and then he went something else ridiculous too, I think, like an Aghanim Scepter. Yeah, he went Aghanim Scepter refresher orb. I'm just like, why? Why?
Wait,
Burning,
where's
why?
my Google button? What?
Like, I'm pretty sure it was an Ag.
Are you
I know there was a refresher.
100%?
I know there was a refresher orb. Don't quote me on the Aghanim Scepter one. Let me
No, I have to quote you on that.
Okay, well, fine.
see, not only are you here for us to be able to break down your self-esteem, it's to pump Jay up. So now he has something to play back for people.
It's just, he's just
no,
frustrated.
there is an Aghanim.
He's just frustrated about the Nyx Assassin thing. That's what he's frustrated about.
Of
so,
course. And there is an upgrade for it. Wow. It goes down to a 60-second cooldown, and the duration goes up a second.
Let me see if it was game
the last
2 of this.
round.
I'm actually on a video right now. Is there a Faceless Void in here? There is. It looks like it's DK versus EG game 2 of the BTS World Tour playoffs. Let me see what he builds to. I want to make sure that I'm
another
right.
important note about Chronosphere: Couriers are not affected.
Great. That's
now
great
you
to know.
The world knows.
Oh,
that.
good.
I just wanted
yeah,
people
by the
to
way,
be aware.
It was an Aghanim Scepter Refresher Orb
That's
build from
amazing.
Burning.
Oh my god.
I can give you the link now if you'd like. I'll post it in the chat.
Why
So
don't you
people
post it
can
in the
watch
chat? Let the people have a gander
Boom.
later. Don't go now.
we go.
Don't you go now.
We will
I can
also we'll also post that link on our Facebook, so you guys can check that out later on if you're not lucky enough to be a member of the chat right now.
Right.
But I feel like that's pretty much it on Visage. I mean, it's sort of very simple why he's a powerful hero and why you might want to pick him. I mean, do you guys have any other thoughts about him?
If you go a semi-carry to carry build, I would say, because this is not troll, a general first item I would go, personally, would be an Orchid Malevolence. For multiple reasons. You stack up your attack speed even more with your Grave. Chill. And you get to amplify the damage you deal in addition to that. Of course, it'll be silencing them, making it really easy to set up kills for your team, and just a really fantastic item for an kind of carry. Like Silencer benefits pretty well from that if you go carry Silencer. It's just like in the same vein as carry Silencer, I'll put it that way. It's a similar idea.
So no one will ever try, is what you're saying, if it's in the same vein as Carry
Except for me,
Silencer?
yeah. No,
hardly
don't
ever-
say that.
What's-
Remember Absolute Legends. Absolute Legends pull. Oh, if they could do it in TI2. They did it in what tournament was it? It was a joint Dota tournament they were casting. And AL in one of the final games pulled out Carry Silencer, dominated, just crushed whoever they were against, and then he got banned out the rest of the series because they did not want to be up against Carry Silencer again. So
That's kind of
just saying,
sad.
just because it's not sad. No.
No, I mean,
Hey.
it's sad that they had to ban him out. Poor Silencer.
I know, right? Well, he's an amazing hero sometimes. In some situations, he can be
Occasionally.
very strong. And then others, he can be very weak. So, yeah, it's very... Anyways.
Fun Dota on Demand fact. I think that was actually the episode that I was also casting in our friend Terp's basement. Early, I was here. Just, fun facts. You can just start collecting your Dota on Demand trivia.
Yeah, we're gonna have a what's it called? A trivia night next week.
Yeah.
We're just going to go over all Dota on Demand quotes and facts people mess up about Nyx Assassin. Just random things, tidbits
to go
here
through
and
the
there.
wild
Just very
library.
random. We're not gonna, no one can really predict it. And you win a cookie at the end.
Cash
if
bar.
you
There's a
get it.
cash bar there as well.
Whoa, are you putting
What?
that up?
Yes, I'll be paying for it.
Okay, good.
There you
Drinks
go.
on Maut,
It's only going to be
and,
Jack. That's all that's going to be. There's just Jack and maybe a little bit of Captain Morgan. That's it, though.
Matt has his captain. It's a pity
I
you
do.
can't be showing it in the camera.
Do you?
Anyways. Okay, this is not the drunk cast.
next to me.
All right, we'll do
Not
that
yet.
later on. But for now,
I don't have enough money for a drunk cast. I'm poor. It's so
I'll
sad.
send you a fifth of Captain. And
Wow.
yes, maybe. We'll see. Christmas. Christmas is coming.
So drink it, maybe.
But drink
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah. Oh, also want to put on our Facebook page. I posted a video today. It's about, you might have seen it by now if you have any idea about Reddit, but basically, it's this song about illusions and anti-mage, and it involves the two together. And you should just watch it on our Facebook page. I think most people won't find it nearly as funny as I do, but it's worth a minute of your life. I'll put it that way.
It's
Yeah.
in the middle.
It's
Exactly.
about minute 6. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think you all can tell. So we're starting to wind down. Obviously, I think we've exhausted the Visage.
Anything last minute chat before we go, because I don't want to say you guys have any regrets. We don't want any regrets here. We'll totally be
Soup
here
that
next
got
week,
away.
but for that whole week, you'll think, why didn't I ask that question? I was just say Necro Book, but its full name. Matt, go. No, not Matt.
Necronomicon.
Mont. Dang it, Mont. Go.
Necronomicon.
Darn it, he actually was able to do it.
It's really not that hard. I don't understand what the problem is. It's
Necromicnomicon.
Necronomicon.
Do you know why? Sometimes it just gets tough. Okay,
Right,
you're trying to
fair
say
enough.
Necro,
Tongue twister.
and then you start thinking about Necrolite or Necro Bud Light.
Oh, come you're better than that. You're better
That was
than
a
that.
horrible joke. Where am I going with these?
I just
It's
don't know.
okay. we all have one. We all get one.
Everybody
That's
gets
it.
one, right?
That's it.
That's what
yeah.
Spider-Man would say.
There you go.
Gotta respect
That's
the
it.
wishes.
So, do we have anything else from the chat? Are we good? We all
I
good?
think that's pretty much it.
Alright.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for stopping by, Maut. We really appreciate it. It was great having you on.
Thank you.
Go ahead and plug your wares, sir. Where can people find more of your stuff?
You can find me currently at twitch.tv/MautDota2, and I'll be doing a bunch of casts there upcoming. I do a lot of RDTL stuff. I mean, obviously you guys do as well. That's kind of how we all met, if you will. Yeah, that's really how it worked. But
Yes.
So
I hope to have,
we're not telling people about Match.com. Are we just
No.
gonna say it's
Well, we could.
RDTL?
I'm gonna put
Good.
a Match.com. I'm gonna put one of those like images on my XSplit from now on. It's on my
There you go.
stream. I'm gonna plug it. But yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun, guys. I hope to do it again sometime. Obviously, I'm gonna have you guys on for casts upcoming, whether it's for the RDTL, the ECL, or what have you. So yeah, good stuff.
I also want to point out this Who guy just asked. He said, "You guys should show us how you play one week." That is, I mean, as much
a
as we
great
talk
idea.
and we sound pretty knowledgeable,
We're
no,
not-
actually, we should show people just because it's they'll realize we're not just gods, among men. We actually are.
We have to bring ourselves down a peg.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll have to go into the works in the meantime. But yeah, join us next week for episode number 40 as we continue to climb up the numbers here. Thank you again for any of you guys who have tuned in the past. Thank you guys tonight for tuning in live tonight. We love you for it. And have fun playing Dota this week.
Oh.
Catch you guys.
Post on the Reddit thread if you enjoyed this, if you didn't enjoy it, if you just don't want to see Maut's camera ever again. Any of these things, just throw it out there. Let people know. Give us an upvote. I hate to ask for it, but I never do. So here's my one-time shout-out. Anyways, go ahead. Finish it up. Sorry.
I think I got nothing else. Just play a bunch of Dota this week, guys, and we will see you same time, 7 p.m. Eastern, next week.